Good evening, everybody. This is Robin from another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest is William F. Adams Jr. He's a Freddy Kruger entertainer. How's it going, William?
It's going great. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming on. So let's talk about how'd you end up being a Freddy Kruger entertainer?
Well, it's years and years ago. I mean, I think it was fate. It was like 1990 something. I was going to town for my dad. I was staying with my dad at the time. He's having some health problems. I go into town. It's around October, and there's a grocery store there. Right next to it, there's an old house where the JC's was running the haunted house there, and they had a big sign out there saying, volunteers welcome. And it's like, well, I got done with my shop, and I went on there next door, and I talked to the guy, and he said, yeah, you're more than welcome. I said, it's volunteer work, I said, I don't care. I said, I would love to dress up and scare some people now. He said, well, come back at 6 o'clock, and we'll hook you up. Okay. So 6 o'clock, I'm there, and I'm ready to go, and I go up to the top. He says, Bill, he says, you're going to be at the top in the attic. I said, oh, okay, that's nice, the attic, okay. He says, your costume's already up there, and there's a guy up there that's going to help you. I said, great. I get on the way up to the attic. I'm making my way up there, and I'm running into monsters. How you doing, guys? Hey, we're going to have some good time and everything. And he says, you going to be the werewolf up here? And I said, well, I think so. That's where they sent me at. And I was like, okay, here's your costume. I look at it, and it's a plastic glow-in-the-dark werewolf mask and a black robe.
What?
Robin, how many werewolves do you know wear a black robe? I mean, unless they're monks or something like that, I don't know. And then, with the glow-in-the-dark face. I was like, okay, I'll make this work. I'll make it work, okay? So, all right, here we go. It's time to start. And so I'm ready to go. I'm waiting for them guys to come up, and we got a little trap door. I can go and get them on the other side, like that. And so here they coming up, and I, okay, what does a werewolf do? I practice a growl or something. So I come out and I go, roar, and they laughed at me. And the second group came by, and they laughed at me too, okay? And my face was starting to lose its glow. So the guy came over with his Bic lighter to head it up to my face, and I can't see shit because now it's all glowing and I can't see nothing. And Robin, at this point in time, I'm losing my spirits, man. I am losing my spirits on this. As I should have been staying home watching horror movies, man. I said, this is not fun. So the guy comes back up. He said, we got a little break. I said, Bill, why don't you take a 10-minute break? I said, go out there and get you a coffee or whatever, and then we'll come back and get you. Okay. I said, all right. Great. I'm going to take this mask off. I can't see shit. I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Well, and there he comes back. I said, okay, Bill, you ready? I said, yeah, I'm ready to go again. He says, well, you're not going up to the attic this time. We're going to put you down in the basement. I said, okay, the basement. The werewolf's going to run around the basement now. So I go down there, and as he's walking down the stairs, he says, you ever seen A Nightmare on Elm Street? I said, yeah, Freddy Krueger. I said, yeah, Dream Warrior is my favorite movie. He says, well, we got to change his schedule. The guy that's supposed to be Freddy is not going to be here tonight. We got to put you as Freddy. Thank you, Lord. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, I mean, okay, you go down in the basement, and you got this tricycle hanging on a rope, and you got this makeshift furnace, and you got this, everything that Freddy owns. And there it is, the costume. Now, it's one of those Don Post, it's got the rubber gloves. I didn't have any metal back in the day, though. But I made it work. And I put the mask on, and the little foam hat, and I had the sweater, and I had black pants anyway. So it all matched. And when they came down, they didn't laugh at me that time. And I did my best. Because Dream Warriors, like I said, is my favorite movie. So I just did lines from him, little liners and stuff like that. So, hey, bitch, what you doing and everything like that, and it worked. And it's worked. And for the rest of the night, I was Freddy. That was it. It was my destiny. And then it was not until 2002, I moved to Kenton, Ohio with my 2 kids. So I had a divorce, and my sister said, hey, why don't you, pull up stakes and find a new life, come up and live up there and see what you can get into, So, I'm up there for a couple of weeks, and I go mail some letters, and across the street, I look over there, and it's like, there's a costume store being opened here soon. It's like, oh, I like that, because, I dabble in costume. So I go over there, and the guy's working over there, and he says, I said, we'll be open in about 2 weeks. Come back and see us. We'll be open for business. Sure enough, I will be here. So I get there, and I looking around, it's all great, man. They had a huge line of props and costumes and everything, and Jason Hauer ran the store with his wife, and they had family too that was all in the horror business too. And I started talking to him, and come to find out, he's like, well, I do impersonation stuff like that, and he says, well, my sister and brother-in-law, 20 minutes out of town, owns this haunted attraction called the Haunted Trail of Horror, which, of course, I'm sporting my shirt proudly. And he said, we always need some help out there. I said, oh my God, I'm gonna work at another haunted attraction. Great. I said, you guys don't have any plastic werewolf masks out there, do you? And he says, no. I said, actually, we could use a Freddy. I said, bring me out. Went out and did, Cork and Wanda, Conrad. That was the folks that owned the haunted trail out there. Great folks. And for over a decade, I was their resident Freddy Kruger out there. And I loved Halloween time, because September and all of October we opened up. And that's where I was on Friday, Saturday out there scaring the hell out of people as Freddy Kruger. I loved it.
That's pretty awesome. And then how'd you experiment getting the Freddy Krueger makeup on your face too? That looks pretty good too.
Well, it's not a makeup. I transitioned a lot as far as masks. They're all masks. I've never had an appliance. Like in the beginning, it was like a Don Post mask, and then it wasn't until later on that my wife Barbara got me a silicone Freddy mask. Well, they call it an extra toasty mask,
Yeah.
But it was Freddy, and I wore that out at the trail. The latter half of the trail that was open, that's what I wore out there, and it worked. And and I can talk and move and everything like that. And then it wasn't until later on that we've seen this guy named James Updegraff from Dark Ride Studios, and he makes wonderful Freddy masks. And then I went to that, now I own one of those now, which I need to get a new one, because I wore that so many times. It's wear and tear. It's been through movies. It's been through hell.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, at least you get, okay, now let's talk about the glove. So how'd you make your glove, and how long did that take?
No, we didn't make it at all. My wife, Barbara, she's like, she's my wife. At times she's my handler. She's my go-to girl. She's the one that makes up all her things. She's like the backbone. If it wasn't for her, there wouldn't be me. Mm-hmm. And it's all the time. When we started doing horror conventions, I went to some of these metal gloves that you get at costume stores, not the really real sharp ones. And it just seems like I was breaking them over and over. I need another glove. I need another glove. And here she is ordering me another glove. And she says, will you stop breaking these damn things? I said, you break it fast enough, I can't buy them. So it wasn't until like a few years after it was one of these other conventions. It's like, I need another glove. So she went and got me a Brian Sills, if I'm saying his name right. And she ordered one of those, and those were great gloves. And the funny thing about it is, Robert Englund making his appearance at Horror Hound, I'm packing things up, and it's like, I don't have anything for him to sign. What the hell am I going to have him sign? And she had just recently bought me a new Freddy Krueger glove, and I dear, I was like, here we go again. Now you ain't going to be able to use the thing because you're going to have it signed. So now she's got to buy me another damn glove. But yeah, I have one of those signed, and she won one from Robert Englund too in a contest. A signed, autographed Freddy Krueger glove too. And it's like, man, that's cool.
That's pretty awesome. So when you also met Robert Englund, did you go in full Freddy Krueger costume? And what was his impression on you? I was out of costume. It's like we met him on a Sunday,
and our usual schedule for Horror Hound or any other convention for that matter, we do our costuming Friday and Saturday, and then on Sunday we just we go shop. It's only everything's laid back, and and I'm whooped and everything, so it's like that would be the perfect time for us to meet Robert Englund. So that's on Sunday we met him, and I was out of character, but I had my cell phone with me, and I showed him a picture of me in costume, and I told him, I said over a decade, I said, this was me at the Haunted Trail of Horror. I said I portrayed you. And I said, I watched everything that you do. And he was amazed about it. I was like, yeah, we talked there for 10 minutes about things. And then next thing you know, we're talking about Mark Patton, which is a friend of Barbara and I's. And yeah, we had a good time. He's really conversationalist. I really liked talking to him.
Wow, you're friends with the Scream Queen, Mark Patton.
The Scream Queen, yep. We've seen him a few times back in the day. We haven't seen him for a while. I heard he's not really feeling well. And we're going to have to get a hold of him and see how well he's doing.
That's pretty good. And now, for all the years, you also perfected the voice. I've heard you with the voice, How do people react when you're walking around full Freddy mode with the same mannerisms, the same voice? Do a lot of people ever mistaken you for Robert Englund walking around at the convention?
Oh, yeah, many a times. It's even on the documentary Fred Heads. It's even talked about on there that and I didn't even know it, and it's like, yeah, they thought that was actually Robert Englund. It's like, and this has happened to me before in a certain other situation where somebody thought I was somebody else. Tom Kenny, who does the voice of SpongeBob. I dressed up as SpongeBob, one of our characters we have for our business, and went to a convention and did the character, and somebody thought that was Tom Kenny in a big foam suit. I mean, it looks like an apartment complex you're wearing the thing. And, I'm doing my SpongeBob SquarePants and doing my thing like that. And they thought it was me, or Tom Kenny. And it's like, you sit back and think, it's like, you do these voices and you do them like you thought it was Robert Englund, you thought it was Tom Kenny. It's like, wow. What am I doing in Ohio? I got to get out there. I have fun doing. I had fun doing those characters. I mean, it makes me fun to see the smiles. It's all that matters.
That's amazing how you pulled off the Tom Kenny SpongeBob voice. If I saw you in costume, you doing that, man, I would have been thinking the real thing too.
I work as a recess aide at an elementary school, and I'm all the time getting asked to do SpongeBob, or can you do Patrick? Can you do Squidward? Can you do Batman? Can you do this? And there I am out there. That's my audience out there doing voices, and we have a good time doing that. I love doing SpongeBob. I really do. I even dressed up for him at school too.
I bet the kids love that.
They do. They love it. And that's all I'm doing. I do the voices out there for them, and it's fun. I mean, we have a good time doing it.
That's too awesome. How about give me a deep Freddy voice?
Oh, well, let me get a drink here real quick. Got to tone up for that. I did this voice every weekend for the last 2 weekends in September, and every weekend in October from 8 to 12, Friday and Saturday nights. As soon as that hit, from 8 to 12, this is what you seen. This is what you hear. Me, Freddy. And people would say, don't your voice get tired of doing that? I said, all the years that I've done that, when I'm done, never lose my voice. It's just back to where it was.
Now, speaking earlier, they filmed you on Fred Head's documentary. How'd you find out you were on there, part of that documentary?
Oh yeah, with our friends, everybody that put that documentary together is friends with ours. We love those people, Paige and Kim. You look on them on the credits; they're all there. Those are great friends of ours. We've known everybody there since the beginning of the conventions that we did. We met Anthony Brown Lee. And the list goes on. Every time we go to a convention, we meet these people, and we become not friends, but family. And that's the way it is. And I'm so proud to be a part of, the Fred Heads. And I'm really, truly blessed that they asked me to be on it.
So when you finally watched it, what'd you think seeing yourself on there?
It's crazy. And the thing about it is we picked up a copy. My wife ordered a copy. And we got it here, and my kids came over to watch it. And it really touched me that they always said, Dad, we're really proud of you for, everything that you've done. And here you are, on the silver screen doing this, and how much of an impact it's made on people. And, I'm really proud of myself for what I've done. And, my family is really proud of me, and that's my driving force too, is my family. They're always supportive of me. My wife, my kids, for everything that I do, they're very supportive of me.
That's pretty awesome. Have you been in any other films besides the Fred Heads documentary?
Don't Fall Asleep. And you can find that on YouTube. That's where I get to play Freddy Kruger. Probably about the only time I ever get to play Freddy Kruger on a silver screen, but hey, I'm satisfied with that. I had a great time filming that. Midsummer Nightmares 1 and 2, Concept Media. I think you can get hold of those people to see those films. Daughters of Our Lord. You can find that on YouTube as well. I play this crazy hillbilly farmer. I stopped shaving for a month, and my wife hated it.
Did you stink like a hillbilly?
Well, there's certain limits, I have to look like I'm crummy, but I don't have to smell like I'm crummy.
That's funny. So do you have a little hillbilly voice?
Well, I don't quite know what hillbilly boy. One I can just Jim Varney. I got a load of snakes for them horror movie folks. They're going out there in the field. I worked 12 years out there, and none of them guys didn't have a job. It's ad-libbing, when you do a voice in person, you do the voice and you just run off the head and see how many people look at you and wondering what kind of going through your head.
That's pretty cool. Since you've did Freddy all these years, how'd you fall in love with the Nightmare on Elm Street films? I know you said Dream Warriors is your favorite. Mm-hmm. What lured you to the Nightmare on Elm Street film franchise?
Well, it all started as a kid. It all started with those movies leading up to Freddy. And somewhere there in the mix, Robin, now a lot of people doesn't, really know this. Okay, well, Bill, you do Freddy, but Michael Myers, that's my guy. And I tell you what, it's just like a little kid, I start there with horror movies. It wasn't until like 1978 is when I got a taste of the next level horror. Before that, it was Saturday afternoon, The Amazing Colossal Man, the black and white,
yeah.
The Translate Cincinnati and all them guys. And, and I was at the comfort of my own home, and, I wasn't, I was okay. But, 1978, here comes a movie that, I'm begging my mom to see, and she ain't even seen the movie. She's already telling me, I seen it in the newspaper after. I said, it's not what you think. It ain't what you're watching on TV. I said, you're probably going to get scared. I didn't care. I just kept bugging her and kept bugging her and kept bugging her. So it was Friday night, and my mom and my sister, we always like to go out to movies. So here we are, 1978, Halloween, sitting down, and that infamous music comes on, and that's nerve-wracking as it is. And I was like, I can remember, I was like, it's like, and she says, what's the matter? So I'm okay, and it's like that music, that intense music of John Carpenter's, man, it is enough to put anybody over the edge. So I make it through the scene where Michael kills his sister.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not, I'm on mom's lap, but I'm making it through. So then we got to 1978, and Dr. Loomis and everybody there, and Michael jumps on the car, and I jump out of my seat, and I head towards the lobby, and there my mom's coming right behind me. I don't want to do it no more. I can't kill me. And so there I was. Then they had a table and chair right there in the lobby, perfect for, little whiny butts like me that want to show up there. So that's where I was. The rest of the evening, all the way straight through. Mom says, well, I'm going back and watch the movie. I said, you going to be all right out here? I said, I'll be fine, And the lady at the concession stand, she felt sorry for my little ass, and she said, here, have some popcorn. And I didn't want to go to the bathroom because I thought maybe somebody might be in there. But then, I got older. I got braver, and, I remember watching Halloween 2 at my grandmother's house, and I watched that straight through. I didn't have to sit in the kitchen for that. And then, then the next level, here comes Freddy, here comes Leatherface, and then Jason, I was getting older, and here they came. Here's my next level. What happened to the Amazing Colossal Man and the Tarantula and all these guys? Nope, they've been replaced by somebody else. And it's fun. I enjoy them all. I enjoy all the movies. And then, the next level came around that, The Ring, that character, Samara, new characters, Chucky, It's been a whirlwind, and I've been having a good time with it. Been watching them all.
So, did you see any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films at the theater?
No, I never did. It wasn't until, I went to the video store and got the VHS copies. This was when I watched them. I think I might have watched one on HBO maybe at one point in time. I had to go into town to watch the good movies because I lived out in the country, and I can only get 3 channels. 4 maybe if it was a clear night, But, they all had the good stuff in there. So, like my sister, she lived in town, and she had HBO, and it's like, I flipped through the channels, and maybe there was a good horror movie on, and check that out, and that'd be it. Or they would have Porky's would be on, too.
Oh, yeah. Classic Porky's.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was little, I also had the movie channel, so some of the other crazy horror films I would watch would be off of Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater. And this was way before Monster Vision and The Last Drive-In, where, everybody knows who Joe Bob is. But, yeah, I got my taste of exploitation, grindhouse horror from good old Joe Bob Briggs.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was a little kid, I used to go... on the summer times, I'd go down to my grandma's house, and during the day, I would, run ragged with the kids, playing a cemetery and all that stuff. And in the evening, it was like around 11:30, and I would come in, and my grandma would have like a ham sandwich and chocolate milk, something ready for me, and we would sit down and watch Fritz the Night Owl from Night Owl Theater in Columbus, 10 TV out of Columbus. And one of the fond memories I remember, the movie came on that night, and it was really stuck in my head, was The Hypnotic Eye. We watched that one, and I can remember that opening scene where that lady thought she was washing her hair, but it was fire, and I can remember that, and I was like, wow. That was some intense stuff back in days for a kid my age.
Yeah, so when you, like the Nightmare on Elm Street films, what made Dream Warriors your favorite one of the franchise?
Yeah, Freddy, in that movie there, you see Freddy as, he gives them one-liners and, it's the chair for you, kid, and doing all that stuff. And that's what I took with me when I did Freddy at the Haunted Trail of Horror, and that's what I did at horror conventions as well. I did, that type of Freddy. I love doing that Freddy because, like I said, in Dream Warriors, you now see that jokester, hipster, slapstick comedy type deal that Freddy offers, and that's what I do when I do Freddy there. I do how he does it.
Yes, that's cool. Did you ever watch Freddy's Nightmares, the Nightmare on Elm Street TV series?
I think I watched like one of those, but I didn't watch the whole. I didn't watch the whole series. I might have been watching like Saved by the Bell or something like that. I don't think I've ever. I don't think I ever watched those, and I knew they were on, but. My thoughts would have been where someplace else, girls at a time, can take the place of Freddy once in a while, But.
That's pretty good. Since you got these gloves, have you ever thought about making your own homemade Freddy glove, though?
I thought at one time I was dabbling with certain items that my wife had, and I tried to attempt to make something that was safe to go to convention. I didn't want to bump into somebody and like skewer them or something like that. But I had for the trail for a while. I I had some that were plastic, but they didn't look like the ones that you'd seen in the beginning. Like you got this little blade and it's a little rounded off like that, and it's just something. I had plastic blades that were gray. You know, it's like I attached them. It's like, yeah, oh, not bad. You know, not bad. You know, it worked out, and just as long as I don't kill myself, I'll be just fine.
Since you do a lot of horror conventions in Horror Hound, the funny thing about it is, I never saw you in person, or I just heard about you, but I've never actually met you.
Well, next time we're going to the convention, we're going to have to sit down and talk shop.
Yeah, exactly.
So just saying hi in passing, you know.
Yeah, because before we got on the podcast, you're like, I've seen you lots of times. Shoot. The next time I'm at Horror Hound or another convention, I can see you sneaking right behind me going, ah! And I'll be like, ah!
Thanks for the idea. I will do that.
So, are you going to be doing Horror Hound in August in Indianapolis?
We're not known for sure. My wife and I, we own a business called Adams Entertainment Photography, and it's now starting to pick up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's just like it's touch and go. We don't know for sure because we're getting so many requests for our characters and everything. You know, we got to leave these weekends open. Yeah. For business purposes. So if you don't see us in August, we'll be sure to see if we can try to at least come back in Cincinnati in like 2024. I got a little something I want to work on too as far as characters go, and I hope it all works out right. But we'll see what happens. But like I said, if you don't see us there, we'll probably be next year around Cincy. That's
pretty good. So where can everybody find you on social media?
Find me on Facebook, William F. Adams Jr., or you can find Barbara Adams, and she harbors me too. And we have a page called Adams Entertainment Photography, our business, where we do all our posting for our business and all of our characters. And if you can't find us there, send a smoke signal. Maybe I'll find you that way.
You know what you should do? You should do a YouTube channel about your adventures as Freddy Krueger, like going to different conventions.
Well, I tell you what. Yes, we have at one point in time been on YouTube for a show that my wife and I did called The Nightmare Hour.
Okay.
You can find it on YouTube. We did audio for a while, and then we switched to video. It's just my wife and I, we're sitting on the couch and we're talking, and we do little segments like that. And, we got a lot of good response in the past, but, we ventured off and did some other things, and we didn't really pick the show up, but we've all been talking about maybe getting it back together again, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And, we gave a lot of shout outs to some friends, and we kept people up to date on our horror schedules and where we was going to be at and everything. We talked movies, and we had a good time doing that. We had a good time. The Nightmare Hour. Just type it in. If you see The Nightmare Hour, you see us. There you go. A couple of cooks sitting on a couch.
Dude, I'm just saying that would be fun. You doing that just as Freddy, and have your wife like filming you like at different conventions as well. Talking shop.
Oh yeah, my wife has. Yeah, she has tons of video and pictures. I mean, every time I get in a costume, it's like, here, hold still. And then, she's following me and we doing these things. I mean, we have tons and tons of photos of me doing God knows what. I mean, not even just Freddy, but, let's see. No, not Michael Myers, but Hannibal Lecter. I do a Hannibal Lecter too. I like doing that character as well. And this character that I created a long time ago called the Nightmare, which is a demon. I haven't brought him out in a while. I should bring him back out. There's a lot of photos of me doing that, and yeah, there's just I don't think I've even seen half of what everybody has filmed me. I don't think I've even seen half of it. I know there's a lot out there.
Yeah, the thing about your photos and all that, you guys should actually do an Instagram page, just base it off Freddy. And post all of your...
Something to think about, yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee it. People would follow that. I mean, on Instagram to see all your, tons of photos and stuff, and
Yeah, I'd have to do a lot of archiving because I got kicked off of Facebook, or not even actually get kicked off. It was somewhere of a issue that I couldn't get back on my page. I had to make another page. So the original page of Facebook I have in the past, there's a lot of photos of me in there. So I go through my photos on my phone. It's like, if I can't find anything, maybe I left it on that one page. So sometimes I'll go back to my original Facebook page, and go through those photos I have on there, and maybe the photo that I'm looking for might be in that original archive there. But yeah, I just can't get into that one. It's just floating out there, that page.
Hey, you know something? I'm telling you, Instagram is where it's at, man. I guarantee it.
We'll just have to look into it.
Definitely will. Just let me know, and I'll follow you.
I'll let you know.
Oh my! Hey, thank you.
He just comes when you least expect it. He just comes right out. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, Robin. Thanks for